When I was growing up in South Bend, this golf course was an amusement park.
Now, this land is just one part of IUSB's ambitious plans for the future, a vision which includes the fullest range of undergraduate.
Looking at Indiana University South Bend's housing grounds nowadays, it is hard to imagine the change that this location has gone throughout the last 2 centuries. Back in 1882, local saloon keeper Peter Fry was looking for more ways to sell his wares. He encouraged people to leave the city by turning farmland next to the St. Joseph River into a recreational destination. The location became known as Springbrook Park. 14 years later, in 1896, the Northern Indiana Railway Company purchased these very same grounds since their interurban trolley line ended right next to it.
In the 19th century, a trolley park was a big deal. All throughout Indiana, there were trolley parks that were built either between 2 cities or at the end of the line, and the purpose was to make money. On the weekends, when no one wasn't using the trolleys to get to work, they were running empty. So the trolley owners decided, let's put a destination for people to attend, giving people a place to go and a place to enjoy out of the city, while jumping on the trolley and paying a fare.
Additions to the park included the first figure-8 wooden roller coaster, built in 1913, as well as a racetrack in 1916, for horse and later on automobile races and shows. A new era started in 1924 when the current manager Earl J. Redden bought Springbrook Park and thus became the new owner.
Earl J. Redden is known probably still to many people in the South Bend area. The newspapers recount people remembering him for his colorful suits and his, quote, fancy canes. He kept admission tickets in his coat pocket, and when he saw kids that he didn't think might go to the park on their own, he would hand the tickets out to them, and then they would convince their parents to take them. He was always in the area, really drumming up business, and he's the one that eventually changed the name to Playland. He did a competition among children to name it that. But he also brought in larger roller coasters. There was the Jack Rabbit roller coaster that was brought in, and people still remember the brass rings on the German carousel. So Earl really developed it into what we knew now as Playland Park.
When we went around, they had a big arm coming out, and on the arm was a brass ring, and you were supposed to reach out and get the ring. And then when you go around again, there was a man on the podium, and you're supposed to throw it in a cigar box. Well, one of my cousins didn't get the concept. She thought she was supposed to reach into the box. I swear to God, she reached into the box, and she must not have pulled her hand up. He fell off the podium. And he didn't get hurt, but it scared the heck out of everybody. It really did, because we saw him tumble. And Margaret Ann is, she was just probably went to confession every week telling that. But I know that ride was real inexpensive, and we did it a few times because of the brass ring thing. And I don't even remember waiting forever in lines like you do now. If you wherever you go, you have to wait in long lines. And there was enough variety that everybody could kind of spread out and come back when maybe that line wasn't there.
The Blue Sox were one of the first 4 teams in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League and originally played at the nearby Bendix Field. In 1943, a new home field was needed in order to satisfy the needs of the Baseball League as well as the ever-growing fan base.
The facilities just weren't enough, though. They weren't to the degree that the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League wanted for their teams. And there was a big attraction. They were filling the stands and overfilling the stands at Bendix Field. So by moving into Playland Park, they were able to attract even more fans. In the first year they were in Playland in 1946, they had a doubleheader on July 4th that attracted 10,000 paying guests. So it's just a huge amount of sort of increase in attendance, and the field could be much more well cared in this park versus associated with the Bendix plant. The track and the field did overlap each other, and in fact on some days the newspaper accounts that events at the track and the field overlapped. The racetrack was originally used for horses, and then as cars developed, they quickly changed into automobile racing as well. So this is a cinder track, about half mile in length, an oval track running very close to the river on one side and the grandstand on the south side of the track.
Any more than ordinary compacts. Find out. See, drive, price the compact without compromise. The Lark by Studebaker.
Although business had been booming for the last few decades, things turned around quickly for many amusement parks across the United States in the 50s. Among other factors, the progress and increasing accessibility of technology led to an overflow of alternative choices and free time activities.
So the reason business declined in the 1950s was mostly because professional baseball was being moved into television. So in the 1950s, the Major League Baseball could be aired on television, so now people didn't have to go out to the field to watch the particular games. Another reason was folks now had their own automobiles. They didn't have to ride the trolley to get to a place. So they could go to drive-in theaters, they could go to skating rinks that were out and around and places for shopping that eventually became malls. There's just other amusements that they could attend rather than this one place for everything.
I was a freshman then, and I don't think I knew it, and I don't think any of my girlfriends said it either. Parents probably didn't know how endearing it was to us, but and they probably said it, and we didn't know how final that was, you know, because what were we, 16, I think. So, but it was sad when it was gone, you know, and I didn't know that the grandstand was still there.
The grandstands were designed to seat at least 2,000 people in the main seating area, and it was covered at the time too. So there's a large awning over top that provided the attendants protection from the elements. These grandstands were put in as early as 1896, possibly even earlier, and they are really the remnant of all of the activity that happened at Playland Park.
Every time I drive there to get to Linkaway, it's just a good memory, and it's like, why did they take it out of here? You know, I think what Playland meant to me and did for me is give me freedom. Freedom to scream and yell and laugh and cry and show any emotion you want to show. And nobody's going to think you're strange because they're all showing their emotions too. But it was such a thrill as you're going through all that, because we weren't a big city, and yet that was like big city attraction. I'm just glad we had it while we had it.